What's going on, everybody? It's Chris Classic, about to drop a fresh video, but before I go into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Also to subscribe to the C3 Wrestling YouTube channel for exclusive wrestling videos. Today we're going to do something different. I'm going to introduce something called the Versus Series, and in this series, this is when we talk about pro wrestling finishers and how they affected the business, my personal feelings about it, what other people have spoken about it, and the impact it left in pro wrestling. Today, for the first Versus Series, we're going to talk about the Canadian Destroyer. Now, the Canadian Destroyer is a flipping power driver. You heard me right, a flipping power driver. First time I saw that, my jaw dropped. My brother's jaw dropped. We just couldn't believe that we saw a move like that. Looking at the Canadian Destroyer, it reminded me of finisher moves for the video game Def Jam Vendetta. We had the game, and when you did a finisher, it was like an off-the-wall, crazy finisher. If you think of WWE All-Stars, that arcade game, how everything was over the top with moves and flips and stunts, that's what the Canadian Destroyer was for me. I thought that was a great move. I, to this day, still think that is a great move. When you think about the Canadian Destroyer, I think about the creator, Petey Williams, who has done it since 2003. And it's very popular to this day. 18 years later, people are still doing the Canadian Destroyer. My favorite version of it, I actually have two, is when he jumps off the ropes, bounces, and then go into the move. I think that is very dope. And I also saw when he was teaming with Team Canada, he put somebody between their legs and then they just threw his legs over. I actually think that would have been just like a dope triple team finisher. The Canadian Destroyer is like one of these staple moves in the independent scene, and even in the main scene. You're even seeing a lot of WWE superstars doing their version of it. You're seeing it on AEW, you're seeing it on a lot of shows. My reaction to it was shocking, and I liked it. And also, it had a negative thing. With some of the old school wrestlers, they didn't like it because they felt, in theory, that it didn't make sense for a man to flip over someone and then they carry the weight and then land on their head. And in a way, I can understand, being how I was taught and trained. I can see why a lot of people don't care for the move, but I also see why a lot of people do care for the move. Like, to me, it is a very beautiful move to look at. So I can see why they would say, why would someone do something like this for the finisher? Why don't you just do a power driver? Because to me, a original plain power driver is a finisher to this day. Going off of that, a lot of people have tried it, in my opinion. Well, I know for a fact that a lot of people have tried it. They might have not said if they did or not, but I know that even if you didn't like the move, you've tried it. Thinking about how it is used now, I don't like how it's used now. I think that Petey Williams protected the move for it to be a finisher, not to be a signature. When I say signature, that means a move setting up for the finish. This move right here is a finisher. There is no way no one should jump out, kick out, nothing, not even grab the ropes. This move is devastating. But when I look at TV or when I look at YouTube, I look at an indie match, and then I see it, and then they pick them up to do a move that's whack or doesn't equate to a Canadian Destroyer, I think you devalued it. And I think a lot of people devalue it when it's not a finisher. I mean, there's ways around it to protect it. I just think that even in lucha matches, it's just, it'll go straight into the chain. You'll see it in the first 2 minutes of the match. There's no build up to it. I remember when Rey Mysterio and Andrade, they did it a couple times, and Rey was also doing it on the independent circuit. I know Adam Cole, he also has a version that he does on NXT, but it's not the finisher, and it's just like there's not a lot of moves that make people go wow, and then you just do this move and you pick them up to do something that doesn't even look as good. It looks lame, it looks whack. So So that's my take on the Canadian Destroyer being used a lot. And I believe that Petey Williams talked about it too, saying that it's a finisher. And I agree. I don't think there's no way anyone can just kick out of it all willy-nilly. Or if you're doing it to someone, why someone should pick you up to do a clothesline or to do something like that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. Like, there's not a lot of moves that is better than a Canadian Destroyer. As far as the legacy and impact, like I said earlier, I do believe that a lot of people practice the move at practice. They might not use it, they might hate it, but to try to understand how to do it and how does it look good? Like, these are things that make a lot of wrestlers on indie or major leagues talk. And I think besides just wrestlers in general, just even fans, oh my God, did you see this man? He's flipped this guy and he landed on his head. I do think a lot of people went to practice and try the move, see if they can actually perform it. A lot of the older guys, I do believe, also practice the move, and they might have their reserve on it. But I do like the move. It's one of my favorite moves to see. I do wish more people would protect the move. I don't think it should be a spot to go into another move. I don't even think it should be a spot. Like, if you, even in AEW, if you know it's a tag match, and if it's more than 2 people in it, you're going to see it. Whether it's from Ray, whether it's from Ray Phoenix, whether it's from Pentagon, or if if it's a Young Buck, or just a smaller guy in general, you know that the move is coming. But you know it's not a finish. And as far as me versus it, I just have to show you guys something real quick. As you can see, I've done the Canadian Destroyer one time. Like I said, this is a move that I do believe that a lot of people done. Like I said, I had fun doing it. I was scared, but I pulled it off. But I do think that it is a finisher. I do think we need to respect it more, and I do think that we need to protect it. Once again, this is Chris Classic. Thank you for coming to the first Versus. Let's take it home.